Hello, reading room. How are you? This is Dr. Annette Feravich. Everything's on? Yep, looks like it. This is Dr. Annette Feravich, and I am the teacher. We're here in the classroom, and the classroom is the reading room. I have leftover, what do we call those? Emotional, what is that? It's overflow or something like that. From the last bit of revelation I had in the last classroom. No, don't think I'm not. Yeah, so we're early. We're early here because of the revelations and because, I'm a busy gal. 11 and 12 today in our book by R.L. Stine. Kind of interesting because it's Conrad Stine who's writing the other books too. So I think that's kind of interesting. R. Conrad Stine. Be careful what you wish for. It might come true. Chapter 11. Let's look at the flowers instead of the title. There we go. They're getting a little droopy. These got droopy really fast. I'm so sad. But some of them not so much. Look at how pretty that one is. But some of them droopy really fast. Look at, too bad. Okay. What is the matter, girls? Ellen demanded as we huddled on the sidelines. She glanced from player to player, examining each one with concern. Anna dropped down wearily to the floor, her shoulders slumped. It looked like she could barely keep her eyes open. Judith leaned her back against the gym's tile wall. She was breathing hard, and beads of sweat rolled down her pale forehead. "Let's get up some energy," Ellen urged, clapping her hands. "I thought you girls were pumped for this game." "There's no air in here," one of the players complained. "I feel so tired," another one said, yawning. "Maybe we're coming down with something," Anna suggested from down on the floor. "Do you feel sick too?" Ellen asked me. No, I told her. "I feel okay." Behind me, Judith groaned wearily and tried to push herself away from the wall. The referee, a high school kid wearing a black and white striped shirt about 5 sizes too big for him, blew his whistle. He signaled for us to get back out on the floor. "I don't understand it," Ellen sighed, shaking her head. She helped pull Anna to her feet. "I don't understand it. I really don't." I understood it. I understood it perfectly. My wish had come true. I couldn't believe it. That strange woman really did have some kind of magical powers. And she had granted my wish. Only not quite the way I had imagined. I remembered my words so clearly. I had wished to be the strongest player on the basketball team. That meant I wanted the woman to make me a stronger, better player. Instead, she had made everyone else weaker. I was the same klutzy player I'd always been. I still couldn't dribble, pass, or shoot, but I was the strongest player on the team. How could I have been such a jerk? I scolded myself angrily and I trotted back to the center of the gym floor. Wishes never turn out the way you want them to. When I reached center court, I turned back and saw Judith, Anna, and the others trudging onto the floor. Their shoulders were slumped and they dragged their sneakers over the floor as they walked. I have to admit, I enjoyed it a little bit. I mean, I felt perfectly fine, and they looked so weak and pitiful. Judith and Anna really deserve it, I told myself. I tried not to grin as they slumped into their places, but maybe I was smiling just a little. The referee blew his whistle and called for a jump ball to start things off. Judith and a Jefferson player faced each other at the center. The referee tossed up the ball. The Jefferson girl jumped high. Judith made a real effort. I could see the strain on her face, but her feet didn't even leave the floor. The Jefferson player batted the ball to one of her teammates, and they headed down the floor with it. I chased after them, running at full speed, but the rest of my team could only walk. Jefferson scored with an easy layup. "Come on, Judith, we can catch them," I shouted, clapping my hands cheerfully. Judith glared dully at me. Her green eyes looked faded, kind of washed out. Pick it up. Let's go, Mustangs. I cheered energetically. I was really enjoying rubbing it in. Judith could barely bounce the ball inbounds. I picked it up and dribbled all the way down the floor. Under the basket, one of the Jefferson players bumped me from behind as I tried to shoot. 2 foul shots for me. It took my slow motion teammates forever to make their way down the floor to line up. Of course, I missed both of my foul shots. But I didn't care. Let's go, Mustangs, I shouted, clapping my hands energetically. Defense, defense. Suddenly, I had become both a player and a cheerleader. I was really enjoying being the best player on the team. Watching Judith and Anna droop around and drag their bodies back and forth like tired losers was the biggest hoot. It was just awesome. We lost the game by 24 points. Judith, Anna, and the others looked glad it was over. I started to trot to the locker room to get changed, a big smile on my face. I was nearly changed by the time my teammates dragged into the locker room. Judith walked up to me and leaned against my locker. She eyed me suspiciously. How come you're so peppy? She demanded. I shrugged. I don't know, I told her. I feel okay, same as ever. Sweat was pouring down Judith's forehead. Her red hair was matted wetly against her head. What's going on here, Bird? She demanded, yawning. I don't get it. Maybe you're coming down with the flu or something, I said, trying to hide how much I was enjoying this. That was great. Oh, I'm so tired, Anna moaned, coming up behind Judith. I'm sure you'll both feel better tomorrow, I chirped. There is something weird going on here, Judith murmured weakly. She tried to stare hard at me, but her eyes were too tired to focus. See you tomorrow, I said brightly, picking up my stuff and heading out. Feel better, guys. I stopped outside the locker room. They will feel better tomorrow, I assured myself. They'll be back to normal tomorrow. They won't stay like this, right? Right? The next day, the bad news hit me like a ton of bricks. Judith and Anna weren't in school the next morning. I stared at their empty seats as I made my way back to my seat in the front row. I kept turning back, searching for them, but the bell rang and they weren't there. Absent, both absent. I wondered if the girls on the team were absent too. I felt a cold shiver run down my back. Were they still weak and tired? Too weak and tired to come to school? I had a frightening thought. What if they never returned to normal? What if the magic never wore off? Then I had an even more frightening thought. What if Judith and Anna and the others got weaker and weaker? What if they kept getting weaker and weaker? What if they kept getting weaker until they died? And it was all my fault, all my fault, all my fault. I felt cold all over. My stomach felt as if I'd swallowed a rock. I had never felt so guilty, so horribly guilty in all my life. I tried to force these thoughts from my mind, but I couldn't. I couldn't stop thinking that they might die because of my careless wish. I'll be a murderer, I told myself with a shudder. A murderer! Sharon, our teacher, was standing right in front of me, talking about something. I couldn't hear a word she said. I kept turning in my seat, staring back at the 2 empty chairs. Judith and Anna, what have I done to you? At lunch, I told the whole story to Corey. Of course, he just laughed at me. He had a mouthful of grilled cheese and nearly choked. Do you believe in the Easter Bunny too? He asked. But I was in no mood for jokes. I was really upset. I stared down at my uneaten lunch and felt sick. Please take me seriously, Corey, I begged. I know it sounds dumb. You mean you're for real? He asked, his eyes studying my face. I thought you were kidding, Sam. I thought this was a story for creative writing or something. I shook my head. Listen, Corey, if you had been at the girls' basketball game yesterday afternoon, you'd know I'm not kidding, I said, leaning across the table, whispering. They were dragging around as if they were sleepwalking, I told him. It was so eerie. I was so upset my shoulders started to shake. I covered my eyes to keep myself from crying. Okay, let's think about this, Corey said softly, his funny, crooked smile fading to a thoughtful frown. Finally, he had decided to take me seriously. I've been thinking and thinking about it all morning, I told him, still trying to force back the tears. What if I'm a murderer, Corey? What if they really die? Sam, please, he said, still frowning, his dark brown eyes studying mine. Judith and Anna are probably not even sick. You're probably making this all up in your mind. They're probably perfectly okay. No way, I muttered glumly. Oh, I know, Corey's face brightened. We can ask Audrey. Audrey was the school nurse. It took me a while to figure out what Corey was thinking, but I finally did. He was right. When you were going to be absent, your parents had to call Audrey in the morning and tell her why. Most likely, Audrey would be able to tell us why Judith and Anna were not in school today. I jumped up, nearly knocking my chair over. Great idea, Corey, I exclaimed. I started running through the lunchroom towards the door. Wait, I'll come with you, Corey called, hurrying to catch up. Our sneakers pounded against the hard floor as we made our way down the long hall to the nurse's office. We found Audrey locking the door. She is a short, sort of chunky woman, about 40 or so, I guess, with bleach blonde hair pinned up in a bun on top of her head. She always wears baggy jeans and shaggy sweaters, never a nurse's uniform. Lunchtime, she said, seeing us stop beside her. What do you have today? I'm starving. Audrey, can you tell us why Judith and Anna aren't in school today? I demanded breathlessly, ignoring her question. Huh? I was talking so fast, so excitedly, I don't think she understood me. Judith Bellwood and Anna Frost, I repeated, my heart pounding. Why aren't they in school today? I saw surprise in Audrey's pale gray eyes. Then she lowered her gaze. Judith and Anna, they're gone, she said sadly. That's it. That's the end of chapter 12, 11 and 12. So we will find out what happened to Anna. Okay. This is Dr. Annette Feravich with Healthy Mind, Body, Spirit. But I am the teacher, and this is the classroom, and that was the reading room. Thanks for joining me. We will find out more of what happens when you wish for something, right? So be careful what you wish for, right? And I'll see you back here on Tuesday. Thanks for joining me.